You are listening to One Happy Podcast, episode 25.
I have no idea the beauty of it, where it's located, and that it's out of the hurricane belt. So the weather's constant. So I would say the beauty and the constant weather is definitely the best kept secret.
Bon dia and welcome to One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. I'm your host, Curtis Robinson, aka Aruba Kurt, and as always, I want to thank you guys for choosing to download and listen to today's episode. The fact that you could be spending the next 30 minutes of your life with anyone but you chose me really means a lot. Well, unless you're like me and listen to podcasts at 1.5 speed, in which case it doesn't mean quite as much. But anyway, I'm rambling. Now, joining me today on One Happy Podcast is a very special guest who's been traveling to the island of Aruba for nearly 20 years. She prides herself on really getting out there and not doing the same thing the same way each trip. I'm being joined today by Charlene Richardson, who's here to tell us all about her very special connection to the island. Hey, Charlene, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm great. So, Charlene, are you ready to take listeners on a journey to your Aruba?
I certainly am. And it is my Aruba, by the way.
Yes, you own it.
I wish.
Well, thank you for letting us visit it every now and again. Okay, now, I always want to start with a question that I feel sets the tone for the interview. So I'm going to ask you, Charlene, when did you first fall in love with Aruba?
I first fell in love with Aruba the first trip that I went, which was in November of 1997. And I've traveled all over the Caribbean. And I went to Aruba and I just knew that was the place for me. I've never been to such a peaceful paradise where I felt so safe, everything's so beautiful, and the island in itself is just so friendly. The culture is wonderful, and the people are awesome.
Yes, they are. Okay, so you exit the plane, you pick up your luggage, and you step outside the front door. What are your first thoughts?
Well, it was before it was a real big airport. So you actually, they drop the stairs down out of the plane and you walk down and you step down, right onto the tarmac. And, they toss your luggage out to you. I mean, that's how long ago it was. Things have changed so much. But I was thinking, wow, is it hot here? I was nervous because I'd never flown anywhere. I was with, at the time, the man that I ended up marrying. And I was afraid to fly anywhere, and he said, let's try Aruba. And so we went, and despite the fact that I really am not a big fan of flying, I have to go to Aruba. So I just get on the plane. I don't think about it because it's worth it to get there.
Most definitely. So what does Aruba mean to you that it doesn't mean to anyone else?
I mean, for me, I think it means the same to most people, but for me, it just feels like home. And I did end up getting divorced, and, with the fear of flying and all that, Aruba means to me, I was courageous enough to get on that plane by myself, and for the last 7 years, I have taken a number of trips there by myself. So that's what it means to me. I mean, it means safety. It's serenity for me. I would never go anywhere like that and travel alone. But nothing was going to keep me from Aruba. So that's what it meant to me.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's unique about Aruba. The safety, the feel of safety. I mean, you really can just travel there by yourself, unlike some of the other Caribbean islands.
Right. I never would. I mean, I've been to Jamaica. I've been to different areas of Mexico, Cancun, Cozumel, Playa del Carmen. I've been to Turks and Caicos. I've been all over the place, and I would never go to those places by myself. I was nervous about going to Aruba that first time alone because I had never traveled anywhere alone. But again, it really felt enough of a second home to me that I didn't really give it to a second thought. I went ahead and did it. And I'm glad I did, and I continue to do it. It used to make my mom nervous, me going there by myself. But it really was, I just always felt so safe. So for me, Aruba's really safe for me.
So where do you stay when you visit the island?
Well, I've stayed all over, but I am a Marriott owner. I've
Okay.
owned there for a number of years. And so, yeah, I stay at the Ocean Club. Then I always extend my stay, and I've stayed at many different areas on the island. Most recently, we added some time. I added some days. I stayed a couple of days at Amsterdam Manor,
Hmm.
and then another 3 days at Sunset Beach Villas, right down on Malmont.
Okay. So would you say you're more of a high rise person than low rise?
Actually, I'm not. As I'm getting older,
Hmm.
the ripe old age of 48, I am finding that I wanted a little bit more quiet. And
Hmm.
it was just hopping at the Marriott. And I mean, that's okay. But, school had gotten out. And so it was just a lot busier than I was used to. I'm generally down there early June, but I was waiting for my little girl to get out of school. So we ended up down there later June this year. And it was just
Hmm.
too busy. And I really didn't spend any time at all at the Marriott. I was either at Cheryl's house or at the beach. Yeah, so I didn't spend a lot of time there.
In the future, do you think you'll still continue to stay at the Marriott, or do you think you would switch to a different resort?
Well, I own at the Marriott, but I'm
Hmm.
thinking that I'm going to switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you compare the say Amsterdam Manor?
I wouldn't stay there again. I
No.
love the beach. It just wasn't my type of hotel. That's all.
So do you have your eye on any place down there?
Something on Eagle Beach, definitely.
So when you're down there, how long do you typically stay?
2 to 2.5 weeks. I'm increasing it every trip.
Okay, that's nice. I can never get down there longer than probably about 10 days at a time.
Oh, really?
Yes. So what kind of activities do you like to do when you're down there?
Snorkeling, beach
Hmm.
time. I love to horseback ride there. It's amazing. Just relaxing on the beach, by the pool. I love all the restaurants down there.
Hmm.
The Jolly Pirates is a blast. This time, what I did different, I hadn't rented a Jeep and explored the island in a few years.
Hmm.
So we rented a Jeep, and I had the Jeep for a couple of days, and we went everywhere, all over that island. And I actually drove up to the natural pool, and that was interesting. I had never been the driver, and it was that white knuckle, very bumpy, have to be careful ride. But I'm glad we did it. It's beautiful.
So who was with you on that trek?
It was myself, my daughter, she's gonna be 14, and my fiance. We
Hmm.
had a blast.
Very cool. I have not made that drive. Maybe this will be the trip for it.
Oh, you have to try it, Kurt.
I'm afraid that I'll end up having to buy a Jeep on my vacation.
Just you get the insurance. That's all. It's very safe, Kurt. You just have to, the road to the natural pool it's very, very rocky, and it's not really a road. I mean, you're literally driving up huge
Right.
rocks. So yes, you have to be a good driver, but you have to just go really, really slow. Challenging but fun.
So let's talk about restaurants for a minute.
Absolutely.
What are some of your favorites?
Well, after this trip, boy, I love that new restaurant Quinta del Carmen. That tops my list.
Oh, really?
It's amazing. I guess it used to be a hospital, which is kind of interesting. So when you go in, you can see where the hospital wards were,
Hmm.
and then they take you out back where there's a courtyard and all beautiful tables. The setup is gorgeous. Very nice. It's fine dining. The food is delicious, and the service is wonderful.
Yeah, it seems like everyone that goes there just comes back raving about it.
It's awesome.
That's a pretty good endorsement. So what are some of your other favorites?
Barney's is wonderful.
Yes.
Barefoot Passions on the
Hmm.
beach. I love Smoky Joe's is good.
Uh-huh.
Scala's.
Do you have any off the beaten path places that you like?
Zero is good. Flying Fishbone. I
Mhm.
love Flying Fishbone. It's worth the ride.
Yeah, no, I've never been there either. There's so many restaurants on Aruba that it's just hard to get to, especially like I said, I can only stay about 10 days at a time.
You have to get there for 2 weeks.
I would love to. So how long do you think is long enough to
Two
stay?
is good.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 works. I'd like to stay there 3.
Right. Do you think you would ever move there?
Oh, yes. I want to.
Okay.
It's not easy. I know that.
Right. Yes.
Cheryl and I talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you're talking about Cheryl Talkoff, who I interviewed a few episodes back.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about you guys' friendship.
Oh my God. I feel like I've known her forever. We're both nurses. We have so much in common. She has so much integrity, much like myself. And I don't know. How you just meet someone and you just click. And that's what happened. And then, so we have our profession in common, and then we have Aruba in common, and we have our moms in common. We just have so much in common. Our love of animals, And like I said, it's bizarre because I've known her a little over a year now, and I feel like I've known her my whole life.
Yeah, it's always great when you meet someone like that. And it's even better when they live in Aruba.
She's pretty special.
So what else do you like to do when you're down in Aruba?
I love to just relax. Oh, it's so nice to just sit on the beach and read a book, or to rent one of those floats and just float in the ocean. Time with friends. Like I said, I love horseback riding. We went to the ostrich farm this time, and I hadn't done that before. That was fun. The donkey sanctuary, the butterfly farm. There's just so much to do. You can do all you want, everything, or you can do nothing. There's just so much to do there.
How about this horseback riding? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. I like to ride at Rancho Locos. They're really good. They pick you up right at your hotel. And I did the natural pool tour. It was like a 2-hour ride. You ride to the natural pool and back, and you get to ride along the beach. You gallop along the beach. It's nice because I've ridden before, and my little girl's really good at riding. So, we got the opportunity to actually gallop a little bit with the horses, and that was nice.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's beautiful. It really is. And the guides are very experienced. They're very supportive. I didn't feel unsafe at any point at all. It's very nice.
Yeah, that's always a big plus. Sometimes when you're somewhere else and you go on excursions, there's not always that safety element there. So it's really nice that you felt so safe.
Yeah.
Do you have any special rituals you do whenever you're down in Aruba?
I gotta think about that one.
Take your time.
I don't want to say we ever do the same thing. First thing we do is hit the grocery store after we, pick up the rental car, go to the market, get our booze. I guess I would say my ritual, I love the Balashi beer, and you can't get it anywhere else. So the first thing I do, really, is I grab Balashi beer. It's a pretty good goal, huh?
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Makes you feel like you're home.
Oh, man. Home sweet home.
That's right. So where do you shop, Superfood or Ling's?
I go to Superfoods now. I used to use Ling's, but I like Superfoods much better.
What do you like better about it?
It just has all the choices of the foods that I'm looking for. It's better access. I like the hours that they're open. It just seems that the quality of their deli stuff is better than at Lang's, too.
It's good to know.
How about you? Which do you like?
I use them both, but for my big shopping trip, I usually go to Ling's on the way to our rental.
Do you?
Yeah. But we use them both. So is there something or some place in Aruba that you think doesn't get the attention that it really needs?
Yeah, which I found out this trip. The Aruba Animal Shelter. I'm a dog lover. I'm an animal lover. And I wasn't aware of the situation with all the stray dogs and stuff on the island, and that really bothered me. So I spent quite a bit of time at the shelter this last trip, and in fact, we brought 3 dogs home, and we saved a total of 10, which was pretty nice.
Right, yeah, definitely. Very commendable.
I had no idea, and I should have thought about it because I'm an animal lover and I've seen dogs down there before, but I never even thought about an animal shelter in Aruba. And once I found it, I'll always go back now. Every trip, I'll make sure I visit and donate. They do such nice work.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of just how dire the situation was until I did the interview with Marie Gehrman.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that kill cage. I did not like that. That bothered me a lot.
Yeah, that was a pretty emotional interview.
Yeah.
So, I got a question that I got to ask you because you're from Massachusetts. So I feel like I have to ask you this.
Okay. I think so many New Englanders go to Aruba because our winters are so bad
Mm-hmm.
here. And I mean, just the weather is so iffy all the time in New England. It can be 30 degrees one day and 85 the next. It drives you crazy. And once people find out how awesome and constant the Aruban weather is, you can't go wrong there. So once they go there, you're always going to go back. There's no such thing as a one-time visit to Aruba.
I agree. Yeah, I've only met one person ever that wasn't really all that impressed with Aruba, but I think they're just strange.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's, the person that goes to the best restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and finds something to complain about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
There's just no way. And I can see, like, people that really can't tolerate the heat. But even then, the difference between Aruba, as you know, and the other islands that you go to is Aruba has those trade winds,
Right.
which, even when it's really, really hot, those trade winds are very cooling.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you burn. You don't even know you're burning. You're
Exactly.
frying and you don't even know.
Right.
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine someone going there and not liking it. I mean, I've seen a couple people post that, if they were talking about it, that, it just wasn't for them or there wasn't enough to do. If they didn't find enough to do, it's because they didn't look.
Right. Yeah, I honestly do think it says more about the person than it does about the island.
It certainly does. Yeah.
Charlene Richardson, it's time for you to enter the Eye of the Hurricane.
Eye of the Hurricane.
As you know, Aruba lies below the hurricane belt, but on One Happy Podcast, we visit the Eye of the Hurricane, which is where you'll be asked a series of tough questions, and in return, you'll dazzle and amaze us with all your knowledge and wisdom. You ready? You ready to dazzle us?
I'm ready.
Okay, finish this sentence. You know you're in Aruba when?
Your toes are in the water, your butt's in the sand, you got a Kalashi in your left hand, and an Aruba in the right.
Nice. Give me a no-brainer great time in Aruba.
Cuckoo Canucoo bus.
Yeah, we haven't been on it in a couple of trips, but this next one down,
So fun. I guess it's being sold.
Yeah, you gonna buy it?
I wish I could. Imagine. Now that's a great job.
Oh, you ain't kidding. So, why don't you explain to people who may not know what the Cuckoo Canucoo is? Explain what it is.
So it's a party bus. They actually have 6 of them now. And they pick everybody up at their different hotels. And there's a couple of different excursions you can do. One, you actually start out with a champagne toast at the lighthouse. And then they take you to a place for dinner. It's very nice. The other one is just what's called a pub crawl. They pick you up and you bar hop to 4 different bars. And your first drink at the bar is free. At every bar is free. And you dance all night until like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then they drop you back off at your hotel. So basically, you're bar hopping safely because you're not driving.
Exactly.
But it's a lot of fun. Everybody has a great time. The windows are knocked out of the buses. And they give you maracas to shake, and they're blaring the music as you're driving through different areas of Aruba. It's a lot of fun.
What's your favorite thing about the Cuckoo Canucoo?
The dancing. Lots of dancing. The staff is loud.
You know what I love about it is the fact that at the beginning, everyone's kind of like sort of reserved.
A little bit, yeah.
But then as the night goes on, like by the end of the night, people are hanging off the bus, shaking the maracas, and everybody's everyone's best friend.
Yeah. Yeah, and the strangers got their tongue in your ear or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great time.
It's a lot of fun.
So what do you think is the best kept secret in Aruba?
Best kept secret, I would have to say the actual beauty. People do not realize it. When I tell people, I go to Aruba. Aruba? Oh yeah, I've kind of heard that. No idea the beauty of it, where it's located, and that it's out of the hurricane belt. So the weather's constant. So I would say the beauty and the constant weather is definitely the best kept secret.
So are there any special tools, apps, or resources you use when you plan your Aruba trips?
Visit Aruba.com. I go to a lot.
And you also have a connection on the island with Cheryl?
Absolutely.
That's probably the best way to learn about the island, learn the ins and outs.
Oh, yeah. I did things with her I'd never done on that island before. We spent some time at Tierra del
Mm-hmm.
Sol, which was wonderful because the Marriott was so crazy. There was so many people there. It was so nice. We spent a whole day there by the pool. It was beautiful.
Yeah, she told me about the local store. I'd have to go there.
Yeah, we went there too. Her friend Marlene's son, her son-in-law, owns that.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely on our list. Actually, we're planning on going there the first night.
Make sure you go to Barney's.
Yeah, we always go there.
Oh, you do? I love that place. I'm embarrassed that, I've been going there all these years. I guess they've only been open 3 years, but still, I'm not one to stick to the same. I like to try new things. I'm not one to stick, to the same places all the time. And yet, for some reason, it's been there 3 years, and I'm kind of ashamed that I hadn't yet tried it because it's not like I hadn't driven by it.
Right. Yeah, the place we stay isn't very far from there.
Okay, yeah. It's, I always rent a car, so, I've driven by it a zillion times and never thought, hey, I should try that restaurant. But again, Cheryl's such an awesome resource, and we went there a couple of times. It was wonderful. In fact, when we went down there, we brought down some lobsters for Cheryl because she loves lobsters. Who doesn't love lobsters, right? So we brought down 18 lobsters. So our first night there, we brought the lobsters to Barney's, and the chef there cooked them for us. So that was our first night there.
That is extremely cool.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I have to get 18 lobsters, live lobsters through customs.
Right.
But we did it. I thought it was going to be an issue, but it wasn't.
That's cool. Okay, do you have something special you bring from home or pick up as soon as you arrive to help you take your vacation to the next level?
I have to stop and get my Balashi beer because you just can't get it in the States.
Yes. I wish you could. I wonder why.
I don't know. You can bring some home, but I think they allow you to bring I don't know if it's a 12-pack. I think it's a 12-pack. You can bring home.
Okay.
But that's it. And you can't order it. You can't get it online. Nothing.
Right. So yeah, if you bring the 12-pack home, you got to save them for like special occasions when you really need to be reminded of Aruba.
I know, exactly. And I don't drink beer either, Kurt, but I love Balashi beer.
Nice. That's a pretty good endorsement. So what's missing from Aruba, or how do you think Aruba could be improved?
Prior to my last trip, I would have said nothing. I would like to see the animal situation improved, definitely. And I will continue, now that I'm involved. I'm an Aruba flight volunteer bringing dogs home to adopted families here in Massachusetts, and I will continue to do that. But I would like to see that situation improved. I know there's a big spay-neuter campaign going on, and Maria's spearheading that. I would like to see that situation improved so there's just a shelter there. And nothing like a kill cage. I'd like to just see that gone.
Right.
That breaks my heart. That sort of, as much as I love Aruba, that really tainted it for me.
Yeah, it's like the...
You know what I mean? The government needs to, I'm shocked. I'm hurt by that because I love that island, and I just, that can be improved. I mean, they bring in so much money from tourism. And if tourists knew that, I mean, I've been going there all these years, and I didn't know that. If tourists knew that, that would affect the level of tourism there. It definitely would.
Yeah, it's like Aruba's dirty little secret.
So I'd like to see that. And, yeah, I don't like that. Aruba's too special to me to have that dirty little secret, and that really is an easy fix.
Now, I know you've been going to Aruba since 1997, but is there anything that you didn't get a chance to do that's on your list to do for Aruba?
Well, my last trip there, I didn't get to horseback ride, and I really wanted to. Just didn't get the chance. I want to see. I have gone all over that island, but if you look at all these Aruba sites on Facebook, for these people that have been going there twice the amount of years that I have, these people know areas of Aruba that I've never ever seen, like climbing that big mountain. What do they call it? Hooeyberg? Have you heard of that?
Yes.
I don't think I'd want to climb that because there's rattlesnakes up there.
Okay.
But I'd like to see it. I'd like to see the stairs. So I would say that there's more on that island that I want to see. Like I feel like, well, I've seen a lot of it,
Mhm.
but then I see people's postings and I realize that there's a lot more for me to explore, and I love to explore that island.
Right. Isn't it amazing that an island that's basically the size of a small town has so many nooks and crannies that you can just explore it for decades, honestly?
It does. Decades. You absolutely can. And they'll post these beautiful pictures, and I'll always say, where is that? And then they'll tell you. And then you realize how little you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I started this podcast, is just to share that sort of information.
It's fabulous.
Well, thank you. What's your Aruba vacation superpower?
Aruba Aribas.
What about them?
Oh, they take it up a notch. They taste good, they go down easy, but they hit you hard. Yeah, you become Superwoman after that. Dancing on top of bars.
There you go. That's a good superpower to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Aruba Aribas, you can't pound them down because you don't realize how fast they hit you, because they taste so good, and you don't feel, you don't even start to feel a little bit of a buzz. It's just all of a sudden it hits you, and then it's too late. But they are delicious.
Nice. Yeah, 0 to 100 really fast.
Absolutely.
So if given a chance, would you move to Aruba?
Absolutely. I would. I would love to retire there. I really would. I was talking to Cheryl about it, and I know that she went through a lot. I wouldn't build a house there, but I definitely, I would say the next 10 years, I would love to buy a home there right next to Cheryl in Gold Coast Villas. It's beautiful. I love that gated community that she lives in. The people are so friendly. I'd love to live close to her and be able to spend a lot of time with her. I know how challenging it is to get there, but I'm telling you, I'm doing exactly what she told me to do. She says, double your 401k, just keep dumping the money in there, don't look at it. And that's my plan, to retire there in 10 years.
Well, I wish you luck with that.
I mean, she lived there and doesn't look back. Yeah, she doesn't look back, and I don't blame her.
Well, hopefully you do. That way I can have even more people to visit down there.
Yes. How often do you go down? I'm down there 2 to 3 times a year.
Twice a year. Twice a year, but we'll probably be increasing it to 3 times.
So nice. Oh, you have to.
Okay, so this is the final question of the Eye of the Hurricane.
Okay.
You ready?
I am.
The people of Aruba have decided to lock you out of paradise. That's right, they're no longer allowing visitors to the island. However, since you've been such a great guest so many times, they've decided to allow you to visit for one more day. All expenses paid. How do you spend your last day on the island of Aruba?
Planning my suicide to die there. Oh my God. Wow. I'm sure that Cheryl, I would find a way to get Cheryl to adopt me so that I wouldn't have to leave. But if I had to spend my last day there, I would definitely spend it the majority of the day at the beach. And then I would go shopping, and I'd clean out all the jewelry that I wanted at the Gold Palace, because that's my favorite jewelry store down there. And then I'd go for an evening sunset horseback ride, and then I'd go to Quinta del Carmen for dinner.
Sounds like a great day.
Yeah. But I would find a way to stay there. Cheryl would adopt me. You can ask her. She'd say yeah.
I'm sure she would. So that concludes the Eye of the Hurricane. How was it?
It was fantastic.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, Charlene, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview with me. But before I let you get out of here, I got one more thing to ask of you. Okay, pretend right now there's someone listening that's never been to Aruba, and they're on the fence about whether or not they should make Aruba their next vacation destination. What would you say to that person to convince them that going to Aruba is the right choice?
I would tell them that they have to try it, because once they do it, they will always want to go back. It's like no other place that they'll ever experience.
Yeah, like you said earlier, no one goes to Aruba just once.
Nobody does.
I always like to tell people, once you go, then you'll know.
Absolutely. Exactly. That actually is a really good statement. You have to go to know.
Well, that sounds like the perfect way to put a bow on this thing. So, Charlene, once again, I want to thank you for spending this time with me and sharing your Aruba story with the rest of the world. You were phenomenal.
Thank you very much.
Okay? All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
So there you have it, another episode of One Happy Podcast for your listening pleasure. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time speaking with Charlene Richardson about her very special connection with the island of Aruba. So I want to thank her, and I also want to thank you for letting me into your earbuds or through your car stereo speakers. I know we talked about a lot, but if you missed something, no worries. You can always either listen to the show again or check out the show notes page that accompanies this episode of One Happy Podcast, where everything we talked about is summarized and linked for your convenience. And that can be found at onehappypodcast.com/EP25. OneHappyPodcast.com is kind of like the flagship where you can find past episodes, a growing list of resources, and the Share Your Story page where you can sign up to be a guest on a future episode of One Happy Podcast, the officially unofficial podcast of the island of Aruba. So, until next time, hit the music.